Hey, what's Shingibas, and welcome back to my channel. So in today's topic, we will share with you everything you need to know about joining a stream competition. So like for example, right here, you can actually see that we have the Black Ninja, almost extreme black tank that we have selected it out. And if let's say we are going to join a competition, I think one of the things that we have to note of is the reason why you want to join a competition, why you want to join a competition, and what is your intention of joining a competition. I think many of the competition we have seen over the last few years stems around the bigger breeders, where they can actually show their streams and eventually make money out of it. I think that's where a lot of stream breeders aspire to be. They want to show their streams, they want to eventually sell their streams through the competition. However, there are another aspect to competition is that if you are not competitive, like myself, I'm actually not very competitive, I do not actually go out of the way of joining a competition. However, if let's say I would like to actually grade myself and judge myself to be better than last year, I would then work on a streamline, like for example, the Black Ninja, Extreme Black, and make it better year over year. And with that in mind, it doesn't really matter who you are competing against. It's actually you versus you. Because at the end of the day, when you do better, you breed better, you have better streams, people are actually able to see the results when you post the pictures or videos online. So over here, you can actually see that the Black Ninjas here are, so these are like a grow up tank, and more often than not, we have quite a lot of streams in there. However, this will not be competition worthy in the sense that these are not the streams that we will bring for competition. And the reason why is because we really want to find something that are symmetrical. You know, the size is symmetrical, the colors are even out, the legs are fully colored, and these are some of the aspects that we actually look at when we want to join a competition. So what do we really need to do? For example, if let's say we're going to join a competition in 6 months or 8 months time. So what we normally do is that we will then try to select 4 females and 1 male out of this tank and place it in another tank. So over here you can actually see that this is the tank that we actually select out the better Black Ninjas Extreme to actually breed out and do selective breeding. So we actually pick 4 females and 1 male. So these are not going for competition. So it is just an example of what we do in terms of the selection process. And you can actually see that the babies that are out is already black in color. So I'm just going to, the video is not really good to be able to capture the babies. However, you can actually see that the babies have no stripes on the body. So over here, if using this methodology is actually the same as going for a competition. Another example on this tank over here is you can actually see that we kind of like select the streams out from the other tanks and for them to grow big. So one of the reasons for having another tank where you want to send for competition is that you allow the 4 female streams and 1 male streams to actually grow much faster, grow much bigger, with better space, with no competition on food, with better water changes and things like that. So these are some of the steps that we actually do, for example, if we want to go for competition. This is exactly the same steps that you will actually take if you are doing selective breeding as well. So there are not much difference between the process of doing selective breeding and joining the competition. However, we will always use our A team or our A grade streams, our best streams, to actually do the selective breeding. However, we may or may not bring our breeding stocks to the competition. And the reason is very simple, because competitions has a lot of risks in terms of bringing the streams there. The water parameters are different, there are some stresses, and all the shocks and everything will actually kill the streams. We have been to many competitions before all over the world, and we have seen how some of the streams actually handle during the competition. So if you do not want your most prized streams to actually go to waste, I would recommend that you do not send your best streams for the competition. You can send a secondary best, the second ones that you think that is going to probably give you a more chances of winning. However, for myself, we will never ever send the best streams for the competition. And usually the best streams are often seen in the breeder's place, it's often seen in other people's tank, it's rarely seen in the competition. And the reason is very simple, because if your main breeding stock dies because you send for a competition, then that's the end of it. Or you may take a much longer time to actually recover from that. One of the important aspects over here is that while we want to transport our streams overseas, we would be very mindful that there is a process that we actually do for all the streams that we bring, all the streams that we export. And the reason for doing this process is to ensure we lengthen the probability of the streams being in the bag so that they do not die during arrival. We will try to get them in their best optimum condition when they arrive at the location. And one of the reasons for doing this is because streams do not travel really well. However, if they are packed and organized nicely, and a lot of work goes before packing of the streams. So one of the process that we actually use is actually using a breeder box. So as you can see over here, we have a breeder box, and any of the breeder box is perfectly fine to be used. So what you can do over here is that you can select the streams from the tank that you are going to submit for competition in the breeder box at least 2 to 3 days before packing the streams. And the reason for doing that is because we want the streams to devein. Once they are able to devein and no food will be allowed to be fed during this period of time, when the deveining process is complete, we will then use the tank water to pack the streams. However, before the week of selecting the streams into the tank, what we will do is that we will do a water change. We will always do a water change before we start selecting. And the reason is because we want the water to be as fresh as possible to be changed out before we start to select them into the tank, into the breeder box. So once they are done selecting and once they have finished deveining, we will then pack them into the plastic bags. So this is how we actually do this entire process, and it has no, so we have very great success in that, and you can actually see that all here, all these streams are going to be put into the breeder box and then to be packed eventually. So this actually allow us to have very great success in terms of transporting streams, and I think this is from our fish keeping hobby in the past. So what we did in the past is that we also do for fishes, we will net them, we will bag them. However, before we bag them, we actually try to acclimatize them and don't feed for a few days before we actually pack them. So as you can see over here, we have a lot of streams, and the process for joining the competition is very important. It actually helps to give you higher chance of the streams winning, because the streams are not going to suffer during that period of time. So I would really encourage for those who are trying to be better than what they are last year. It's really you versus you. I have mentioned in many of our videos, it's really you versus you. Join the competition and see if you are better than last year. You don't even need to have many categories of streams that you want to participate. You can just join 1 or 2 that you really like, that you really enjoy breeding, and you really want to see whether have you improved from last year. You can also do your own judging at your own place. For example, if you have 2 tanks and you keep breeding them and you want to do your own judging, you can even grade yourself by looking at the colors. So the colors is very important, and the size. So that's the reason why I've said that you can actually allocate 1 tank. For example, if you're going to send for competition, you can allocate 1 of these tanks, and then you can net the streams over to this tank. And once they start to grow big, I would then remove the male from the tank a month to 2 months before. And the reason for that is that we do not want the females to be buried too soon. when the females get buried too soon and you start transporting them, you start putting them in the breeder box and then packing them, they may be stressed, they may force molt, and they, like I've said, pre-molt, so which means that they will prematurely molt earlier than they're supposed to be, and there are stresses, and during this process the female is very stressed and the male will attack them. And that's the reason why we will always remove the male from the colony of 4 females if we want to send them for competition. So I think these are some of the tips that or the process that we actually use and share here. So I hope you guys will have learned something from it. And if you like this video, please remember to give a thumbs up, and see you guys in Cremona.